Alright, in this video we're going to look at how to create a half circle progress bar. What I have here is the battery. This can also be applied to music, CPU status, whatever you want to apply it to, cell phone signal, etc. And as you can see, it looks like my battery, this, if it's fully green, it would be 100%. And if I scroll down, let me scroll back up real slow. Maybe you can see my battery up there at the top of the screen. Maybe you saw it for a split second. But it is 95%. So, that's 95% of this half circle covered here. And then also what I'm going to show you too is I'm going to show you two ways to make this half circle progress bar. One being progress, one being a circle slice, or yeah, I think a circle slice. And then also what I'm going to show you to do is how to animate it. So watch the half circle here animate out. As you can see, it does animate out. This right here is my cell phone signal. I have like 4 out of 5 bars. This is just my Wi-Fi signal down here. This is not a half circle progress. And as you can see, okay, I don't have any progress here with the half circle. Actually, I kind of do, believe it or not. I have this sun as the day goes on. This is what time? 7:59 in the morning. As the day goes on and the sun sets, what happens when the sun gets over here? It changes to a moon and it comes back this way. So the sun and the moon do this all the time. And then one more half circle animation right here for you, the music progress. So if I play now, and mute that. And as you can see, it is showing half circle progress. So once this song's completed, it will be over here. Now, I'm not going to show you all these different techniques here, but I'm going to give you the basic idea, because if I showed you all these techniques, it would take an hour and a half with the way that I do with my tutorials. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and have a look at KLWP. The one I'm going to show you is the battery, but this can be applied to other things as well. So I'm just going to start with a load. I'm going to do a blank preset, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a component, because this is probably a component that you would want to create, a half circle component. So, and then again, as always, now with the stuff that I've been doing lately, oh, maybe you see this, surprise, surprise too, coming up probably today or sometime in the near future. Yes, we can pull the APOD off of apod.nasa.gov, where you can get the little galaxy picture of the day. All of this can be done in KLWP. That will be coming soon as well. A little sidetrack right there, but nonetheless, so adding a blank component. Let's go ahead and rename this. I'm going to call it half circle battery, I guess we can say. This will be shared on the KLWP Toots if you just want to go straight to and get it a little bit later on. But I want to show you how to do it. That's what we're going to be trying to accomplish here. So half circle battery. Let me just go ahead and change the background of the whole thing to a solid black. I just like a dark background to work with, especially with the tutorials. It's easier to see stuff. So half circle battery. I'm going to go to globals. Let's go ahead and add some colors. Let's do full. We'll do a green or whatever color, basically showing, now it's not going to be when the battery's full, but it's just showing what we have left. And I'm just going to type in dead for how much battery power I've lost. You can call these whatever you want. So I'm going to do a red right there for that. What else do we want to do here? Maybe we want to go ahead and create a size. We can do a number global variable for that. I'll just keep it at 720, and I'm going to go ahead and just bump it up to something. All right. Now, the first one I'm going to show you here is the progress. And actually, now that I think about it, the size might not be too useful here, but nonetheless, let's just let it roll. So I'm going to go to plus inside of my component. I'm going to add a progress. And let's just go ahead and position this whole thing in the center of the screen. So the entire component that we called half circle battery is in the center of our screen. And underneath that progress, what we want to do, even though we have a battery right here, and if I go to style and I set this to circular, let's go ahead and apply our colors. So the foreground color is going to be full, and then the background color is going to be what's dead, or how much I've already used up. So that's going to be that red, as you can see right there. Now, what would happen if I go to size? Actually, I think this might be, okay, let's use size. There we go. So yeah, we are going to use that global variable size. Maybe you want to go back and add another global for thickness. So let me call that thick. Let's do a number, and remember we can't adjust these number global variables. I'm just going to say probably as thick as I'd want to consider making it 50. That way you won't have to scroll, real fine tune it all the way up to 720. And there we go. So I'm going to apply that. Let's go back to the progress. Let's go over to style, and let's change the height, which is going to be the thickness of this thing, to that. So boom. All right. From here, do we want it to be split progress? Can we go ahead and apply that now? Absolutely, but inside of progress, even though we have a battery, we want to fine tune this. So I'm going to actually click on battery, and I'm going to set it to custom. And now notice as we slide this little bar here, that shows 100. Well, what I want to do is I want it to be 100 right at 50. So all we have to do is go into this code for level. So I'm checking that. I'm going to go up here to the calculator, and let's go apply code to it. So the code that we want to do is we want to go get our battery level. And notice, okay, it is in percent. We want to delete the percent. So we got 94. Now it's not 0.94. This is 94. So what we want to do is, since it's not 0.94, sometimes when you mess with percents, it'll be 94 or it'll be 0.94 because 94% is the same thing as 0.94. Well, I want to convert this to 0.94. So I'm going to divide by 100. That's how you can convert a percent to a decimal. And then we want to multiply that by 50. The reason why we want to multiply it by 50 is because if this battery level was 100, if you take 100 divided by 100, you get 1. 1 times 50 will give you 50. So when we have a full battery, it's going to be at half that progress, which is what we want. We want a half circle progress. And notice my battery level is 94% right now. So, 47, if you take 47 and divide by 50, you get 0.94. So 47 is 94% of 50. Let me check on that. Now, as you can see, we do have that half circle thing going on. All right, now what do we need to do? Let's rotate this thing. I'm just going to go to manual, but you probably could do like 270 or something. But I want to rotate it to where, the half circle's up across the top, and that's going to be right around 270 degrees. Just doing multiples of 90 right there. Now we got all this red stuff showing at the bottom. How the heck do we get rid of that? Well, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to take and we're going to mask part of, all I want to see is this top half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a shape, and let's change this shape to a circle slice. Yep. And width and height. Okay. So let me think about this. If I change the width to the global variable size, notice it's got it out to right around that 3. See how that's the size that I made this thing. So it looks like it's going to work out nicely. I don't think I did this in my other component. Let me change this to thick. Okay, so as you can see here, if I change it to those same 2 global variables, it's not exactly doing what I want it to do. So what we can do here, you can just, okay, let's knock off these things. Let's just adjust this thing to where it is going to cover this thing right here. And what you can do is you can just go ahead and, whoops, make that real thick. It don't really matter because you're going to see what we're going to do with this thing in a second. Now notice that right there is covering up that right there. So when we go to mask, if I were to set this thing to mask right now, let me go over to FX. If I go to mask and I go to clip next module, you don't see anything happening. However, if I go back and slide this thing up, boom. Now I have layered that mask, here. I moved it to the top above the progress, so it's just showing whatever's inside of that. Now I'm going to take that mask off for a second. So I'm going to go back to none. And, okay, so now I'm showing my little circle piece again. Now let's go in here and adjust this thing to where, obviously I want to make this thing 180 degrees. That way I can show a half a circle. So something like that. And now let's go and rotate this thing. And if we rotate it 270 degrees, what this should do, and we'll double check and make sure everything's fine tuned. Now if we go back and apply that mask feature, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that mask that I want to use, I'm going to slide it behind this half circle progress. And now if I go back to that circle slice, go over to FX, go to mask, and I want to clip the next module. If I save this, even though it's not applying right now, and if I go back to the home screen, there you go, boom. Okay, so here's the problem. We're already running into something because we should be seeing a little bit of red over here. So let's see if we can fix that. And one thing we can do is I'm going to go back into my progress, and I'm going to go, instead of doing flat progress, I'm going to do split progress. And let's split this up into, now you got to keep in mind here, notice it says sections is 10, but we only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and that's because the other 5 are hidden. We're only showing this top part, which is what we want to see. So I'm going to bump this up to 200, and the reason why, can I bump it up to 200? And the reason why I'm going to bump it up to 200 is because now I'm going to have 100 of them up here, 100 of them down here, and as you can see, the red is popping up now. So if I save this and go back to the home screen, there's our half circle progress, and there are 100. I'm pretty sure there's 100. There's supposed to be, because we used 200, which means 200 are up here, or excuse me, 100 are up here and 100 are down here, but we don't even care about those. So there's your half circle progress. I'm around 94, 93% or whatever. How many of those rectangles or whatever do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And remember, I was at 94%, so I've used up 6%. That's why we see 6 of those red ones right there. So there is our half circle progress. Now, I'm going to go ahead and quickly, when I share this on the Play Store, you're going to have, I'll tell you what, let's take this, let's copy, let's paste, and I'll tell you what I should, okay, this one I'm going to call half progress. The one I just created, I'm going to call it half progress battery. Oh, can't do swipe. Alright, and then this one down here. So let me just hide this one for right now. Layer, visible, never. Because what I want to do now, this half circle, now the progress is what I just did. So I want to take away that progress now. I don't want to mess with that anymore. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and take away that mask. We're going to redo this whole thing, except now we're going to do it a different way. What we're going to lose here is the ability to split the progress, but nonetheless, it's still going to work quite nicely. So I'm going to go add a shape. I'm going to do a circle slice. And let's go, and since I copied this component, remember how I copied that component? I still have these same global variables, so we're good with that. Let me go back to my half circle battery, circle slice. Let's adjust the size to, or well, we got that set as a global, and let's adjust the thickness. And now what we want to do is this angle down here, notice as we adjust this angle, this changes as well. What we're going to do here is we're not going to need that mask that we had for the circle progress a while ago, but the only thing here is we're not going to be able to split this thing up. So how do we want to do this? Remember, half a circle is 180 degrees, so therefore we want to do this formula inside of here. I'm going to go to my calculator. Pretty much the same formula with the exception of what we're going to multiply by. So I'm taking my battery level, let's delete the percent and let's divide it by 100. That way we get that 0.94. So I want 94% or 0.94 of 180. Not 50 anymore, but I want it of 180 degrees. So we're right around 169.2 degrees. If I check this, notice we do have almost a full half circle, but this is going to change dynamically depending on your battery. Let me go to paint. Notice we only have one paint color. We'll fix that. That's how much of my battery I have left. Now, let's take this and copy and paste. And what I want to do is create a red one as well, but I want to take the code off of it, and I want to automatically make this red one 180. Okay, so let me go back to paint. And let me set this to dead. Now you see the red on top of the green, but if we go back and reorder these two things, if I take this red one and slide it above, which is going to put it below, now we have the red beneath the green. Now before I go any further, let me save this and go back to the home screen and make sure we can't see any red hiding back here, but you can see the red right there. Some of you may want to make that red a little bit thinner. What you can do with that is go to that red piece, and if we go in here and just take these two global variables off for the size and whatnot. Obviously, we'd have to fine tune this, but if we move this out to where we want it, maybe somewhere in there. And what that's going, I'm going to rotate this whole thing in a second, but what that's going to accomplish is maybe you just kind of, you can see the red a little bit easier, and it's not flush with the edge of the green. But regardless, if you want it like that, great. If not, you can keep the same globals attached to it. Now what we need to do to this whole thing, What we can do, since we have these things inside of a component, we can take this entire layer. No, we can't. What we're going to have to do here is create a overlap group, and let's copy and or cut and paste those two pieces inside of an overlap group. So now inside of this component, half circle battery, we have an overlap group which everything sits inside of. So what we can do with this overlap group, we should be able to take this thing and rotate it, and let's rotate it 270. That way we have that half circle progress going on. So what we have here is two different ways of showing the battery. We got the progress that I did at the beginning, and now we have the half circle. Depending on which one you want or what have you, most of you probably will run with the half progress, since we can fine tune that one a little bit more. So let me go to my half circle. Let me go to, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep them both up here. I'm going to position this at the bottom. And then I'm going to go back to my half progress. Since I had it hidden, I need to set it back on always visible. And that's good. Yeah, I'm happy with keeping that one in the center. So we got two different ways of doing the half circle progress. This will change dynamically depending on your battery level. So you may notice, if I go back to the home screen, that this one looks a little bit more faded, and it's not. They had the same colors, but it's because I have so many pieces split up. So maybe if you want to bump down the progress to, instead of 200, go down to like 100, that means you're going to have 50 of them here, and you're going to have 50 of them at the bottom. But what that's going to do here is each little tick mark is going to count as 2%. So as you can see, I don't know if you can notice that. Let me zoom in on it. But 1, 2, 3, that's like 2, 4, 6, and it says 93%. So we're somewhere, 94, 93% or something like that. But maybe you like that effect there because it is making it look a little bit clear, and the green's a little bit more bright, it looks like. There are other things you can do with this as well, but feel free to, you can mess around with your colors if you want to do some type of gradient or something like that. But for now, I'm going to let it roll like that. So how do we do the animation? All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go inside of the, well, actually, I don't want to be inside of either one of these components because we have to apply an animation. So I'm going to be outside of these components, and since I have this one in the center, I'm just going to animate this one here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a shape. We're going to do a half circle. So a circle slice. And I forget what my width was, but let me go ahead and position this circle in the center. And let's go ahead and bump its size on up. Basically, I'm trying to mask everything again. So I'm just going to, that right there, that should be good. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and bump this guy on up to 180 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to animate this mask. So, okay, rotate 270. So the mask that we're getting ready to create is a mask on top of the component. Now remember what I said, we want to animate this thing here. Let me go ahead and call this mask. So mask. And this is what we want to animate. So we want to animate this mask. I'm going to create a button real quick. Oh, I got to create a global variable too. So let me go to global, and I'm just going to call it go. That's been my little thing that I've been calling my global variables when I want to animate stuff. So go. I'm just doing an on-off switch here. No text, global variable, no list, global variable here. So we got a switch, and when we press this button, we're going to want to animate this thing, and we're going to want to rotate this thing 180 degrees. So couple of things here. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to animate this. One way is that when we animate it, it's going to go this way, then it's going to bounce back. But I'm going to show you how you can also, well, let's just roll with that first. Let me go to touch. And when we touch this star, we want to toggle a global switch, and it's the only global switch we have. All right. Let me go back to the mask that we want to animate. So go over to animation. And if we go to plus, let's react on a global switch. So go to global and go to go. Now, if I press play right now, it's going to scroll that thing because that's what it's set to by default. But if we set the animation to, let's see what rotate does. All right, that's what we want. But remember the amount, we only want the amount at 50%. So something like that. Now you can adjust your speed and all that stuff. Keep the anchor at the module center, and we should be good to go. Let me save this. Oops, no, we're not good to go. Because, well, let me save this and show you why we're not good to go. If I press this button here, sure, it's animating, but we see the white. We don't want to see the white. We want to see the mask. So let me go back to KLWP, and let's put this mask above our progress. See how I moved it above it? Because we want to mask or clip the next module. So let me go to here, FX, and go to mask and go to clip next module. So now the white has gone away. We're showing this. If I save this and go back to my home screen, now watch what happens. Since it's masking and that moved that white circle down to here, it's not showing any of that half circle stuff. Now what happens if I press it again? Whoops, okay, see, this is why I don't use my tablet much anymore. I'm just starting to use my screen on my cell phone, but boom, there we go. We're animating that thing in and out. And you can apply this same animation to this one down here. Just make sure you move your half circle and stuff correctly. So, yeah, a half circle progress or a half circle using circle slice, and then also how to apply the animation of it kind of, fanning in and fanning out. And that's it for this video. Hope it helped.